I don't like my intro anymore.
Shut the fuck up, David. Your intro's amazing. Hello and welcome back to the Uncultured Pop Culture Podcast. I'm your co-host, Brandon, and with me, as always, is your other co-host,
David, the Armenian beast. Shout out Armenia and shout out Jennifer.
Nice.
Boom.
David, have you ever heard of Vietnam?
No, but I have heard of Nam.
Have you ever heard of Los Angeles?
I've heard of the San Fernando Valley, the Superior area of LA.
Unfortunately, this week we are going to be talking about Los Angeles, just the regular city, in the 1990s. We've got a movie, we've got an album. Both of these are related to the same topic, which is Los Angeles, like I mentioned just a few seconds ago.
I will say they do go to the San Fernando Valley for the meeting with the porn guy in the movie.
That is true. As all good pornography is set in the San Fernando Valley. You and I both know this.
Intimately.
Perfect word. But before we talk about all of this, I must ask David the eternal question. What have you watched in the past week?
As some of you guys might have noticed in recent episodes, Brandon has been talking about some other things sometimes because the music industry is so bad. Now, I have not been doing that because honestly, this year at the movies has been much better than last year. So maybe I should have been doing it last year. But I haven't really seen anything new in the last week. There is something else that I feel like I should talk about that I have not brought up yet. And that is the Criterion collection. Because we are wrapping up July when we're recording this episode. And every July and every November, Barnes & Nobles has a 50% off of Criterion, which if you don't know is like a prestige like DVD label. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to talk about what I got, aka what Jennifer actually got because she's the person that got it. But she got a collection of 3 movies called Carlos Saura's Flamenco Trilogy, which not a lot of people know about, but it's actually really cool. It's like these 3 movies that were made by this director together with this famous flamenco dancer, and all of them are like, they employ like flamenco as part of the story. And it's always like a story within a story. It's always a story about like this troupe of dancers putting on a performance, but it's more than that. For instance, one of them is Carmen. So they're putting on a performance of Carmen, but then this dancer's real life starts to mimic Carmen itself. So it's really cool. I highly recommend checking out, especially if you like dance. Honestly, we got to watch one of these soon because I know that you used to dance yourself.
That is true.
I wanted to bring this up, and I feel like in the future I might bring up some other things that me or Jennifer buy on these sales because it's fun. Also, shout out to friend of the podcast, Dante, who also buys Criterions.
Just shout out for that reason alone, consumerism.
Hey, but consume quality. I'll leave you guys with that because I'm leaving. Anyways, I'm kidding. I gotta ask you now, did you listen to anything?
Last week, I promised that I would listen to Music, Fashion, Film by Charlie XCX. And David, when you say consume quality, I did not do this in this past week. This was her worst album by far.
Yeah.
And my God, was it a disappointment. There are very few artists that I care about enough to interrupt my normal Thursday night at 11 p.m. Central listening of New Music Friday. But every now and then there's an artist that comes along that I'm like, I need to listen to their album first thing I do on Thursday night. And Charlie XCX is one of those artists. I was just in a bad mood the rest of the night. I liked, I guess, technically 2 out of the 3 singles, but then Camera was also kind of a single like a few days before the album. I also liked that one. But then outside of the songs that were previously released, I didn't add any other song from the album to any playlist. And maybe that's a little harsh, but I found myself feeling like everything here was unfocused and unfinished, and it kind of didn't go anywhere. And I really hate this style of confessional lyrics. They just don't work for me at all. It's just like talk singing. It's not even singing. It's like talking over a beat, and the beats aren't very interesting. The music I feel like was kind of lackluster. This was just overall a disappointing album. And I see a lot of people say that you just don't get it. And I hate that. That is my least favorite thing to tell someone when they're consuming art, because maybe they don't get it. Who gives a shit if they don't get it? If they don't like it, they don't have to get it. I don't like this. Like, that's it, you know? And maybe I don't get it. Maybe I do understand it fully and still don't like it. But like, whatever, you know? Like, to each their own. And this is not for me, unfortunately. Doesn't change the fact that I'm still a massive fan of Charli XCX and will always listen to whatever album she releases first thing on Thursday night at 11 p.m. Central. But yeah, this one was just not it.
Well, let me tell you, I actually listened to part of it too. I found it to just be very And I haven't heard a lot of like her best albums, but I mean, I'm a big fan of Brat, for instance. And I feel like with that, like there are a lot of songs that like really, really work. And here they all just kind of felt like just fine.
After I finished the album, I did have a thought that went through my mind, which was when your goat is washed.
Damn.
So hopefully she will come back and deliver something amazing. And I will completely forget about this album. But yeah, this will not be making my list for the year.
That's a shame.
It also made me reconsider that I don't even think I liked Wuthering Heights that much because I never even went back to it. I don't know. Doesn't change the fact that there was a 5-star song on that album. So I will be bringing it up at the end of the year for that reason because, you know, there's a great song on there. But all of that aside, we have to travel back in time. And I have to travel back to where I used to live because we are talking about Los Angeles in the 1990s. And we are starting with The Chronic, the debut album by Dr. Dre, released December 15th, 1992 by Death Row, Interscope, and Priority Records. It was supported by 3 singles, all of which followed the album. David, have you heard of Dr. Dre before?
Of course. I haven't heard much of Dr. Dre's music, but I know about him, and I know obviously he's one of the most influential rappers and rap artists like ever.
Dr. Dre is Andre Young. And David, I want you to guess where he is from.
Let me think. Maybe Los Angeles?
Wrong. He dropped a ton of hints in the music. Compton, California. Very specifically Compton.
Same thing.
Not at all.
I feel like people are going to come after me for that.
Have you ever been to Compton, David?
I don't know. I don't think so. Does the K line go through Compton?
I don't believe so. Well, I must tell you that Dr. Dre joined 2 rap groups around the LA area, World Class Wreckin' Crew and the much more successful NWA. You may have heard of their song Fuck the Police or their album Straight Outta Compton. While in the group, he sharpened his production skills and ignited his feud with fellow member Eazy-E. This album comes after he left his old label Ruthless Records and co-founded Death Row Records. Eazy-E is still fresh in his mind though, as we will hear throughout the album. I have to ask you, have you heard any part of this album before?
I don't think so. I'm sure that I've heard parts of it for sure. I'm sure I've heard some of the big songs, but it didn't really stick in my head.
I have to ask you as well, what is The Chronic? What does it mean?
I don't know. Is there an official meaning behind it?
It's marijuana.
Okay.
We are smoking on that good kush today. The album cover is styled like the packaging of Zigzag, which is a popular brand of rolling papers.
Oh, damn.
The Chronic is a look at the culture of the 90s, especially violence and sexism. This is a good time to bring up the fact that Dr. Dre has a section of his Wikipedia page titled Violence Against Women. So
Ooh.
Can we get a quick shout out to women one time for all that he's put them through?
Shout out all women.
A big theme of this album is that Dr. Dre hates Eazy-E and will make that known by calling him gay. Eazy-E died in 1995 of AIDS, having never made amends with Dr. Dre. Snoop Dogg is obviously another huge part of this album, and this is what helped to launch him to fame. He said about his writing style, "My raps are incidents where either I saw it happen to one of my close homies, or I know about it just from being in the ghetto. I can't rap about something I don't know. You'll never hear me rapping about no bachelor's degree. It's only what I know, and that's that street life. It's all everyday life, reality." This is also a new genre for us, G-Funk. We have covered West Coast hip-hop before with Kendrick Lamar and Tyler, the Creator, but neither of those were from the 90s, despite the former having similarities with The Chronic. The lone 90s hip-hop album that we've covered was Ready to Die by Biggie last season. There are similarities between the two genres. That album was gangsta rap. However, G-Funk is built on a West Coast feeling. It's more laid back and features synthesizers playing melodies on most songs. The other big element is its use of samples, specifically of the bands Parliament and Funkadelic. It's set at a BPM between 90 and 100, and the samples are replayed live by Dre and Colin Wolfe to give them a fresh feel while still keeping the classic influence. G-Funk is often remembered as the sound of the West Coast in the 90s, and by the turn of the century, it had all but faded. David, what were your expectations going in, and did you have a score in mind?
I didn't really have a score in mind. Maybe that's a lie. I thought it would be somewhere in the threes, just knowing like what I've rated a lot of other albums, both from the 90s and rap albums from the 90s specifically. I will say, I feel like there has been this theme where rap albums from the 90s have worked better for me. So I was kind of wondering if that was going to be the case. So I was kind of thinking about a 3.5.
This album received both critical acclaim and critical hatred upon its release, but is now remembered as one of the defining albums of rap music, and sometimes even the best hip-hop album of the 90s. It was also notable for its catchy hooks, which landed each of its 3 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. It is ranked at number 37 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time. The album peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and finished 1993 as the number 6 album in the US. This was still the era where hip-hop didn't have much of a cultural reach outside of the US. It peaked at number 43 on the UK charts and was certified platinum in both the UK and Canada, despite never charting in the latter. The album itself wasn't nominated for any Grammys, but Nothing But a G Thing was nominated for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group, and Let Me Ride won Best Rap Solo Performance at the 1994 ceremony. And this is my first time listening to this album. I recognize Nothing But a G Thing and Bitches Ain't Shit, but I don't believe I had heard any other song from this album. All songs on here are produced solely by Dr. Dre. The album is executive produced by Suge Knight. It's mixed by Chris the Glove Taylor, Dr. Dre, and Greg Gregski Royal. It's mastered by Bernie Grundman, who also mastered Childish Gambino's album that we covered last season. I wrote, I have genuinely no idea what your favorite and least favorite will be. I'll guess your favorite will be Let Me Ride, and your least favorite will be D's Nuts. I think you'll give this album a 3, but I could also see a 3.5. And with that, we have to start with track number 1, The Chronic, Intro, featuring Snoop Dogg, who is of course a connection to Kendrick Lamar. The song was written by Colin Wolfe, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg, and boy, do I have a lot of samples to read you today.
I'm excited.
Strap in, everybody. This song samples Color Me Funky by Parliament, Funky Worm by Ohio Players, Get Out of My Life Woman by Solomon Burke, I Gotta Say What's Up by Ice Cube, Impeach the President by the Honey Drippers, which was the exact song also sampled in Unbelievable by the Notorious B.I.G., which I find very interesting.
That is really interesting.
The song also samples The Shalimar by The Last Poets, and my favorite of all, Door Metal Cell Close Jail Cell Castle by Sound Ideas.
That's crazy.
This song lets you know everybody that they hate. I don't know. It's barely a song, and I did not rate it. What did you think, David?
I mean, it is barely a song, but I do find it just very fun.
Okay.
It's super fun. It's quite short, but the lyrics, I think, just make it really enjoyable to listen to. Even though I do feel like the song itself gets a little repetitive, even though it's like on the shorter side. But kind of crazy, but this is a 3.5 for me because
nice.
He's got, like the lyrics are funny, and I really like the voices that he does as well. So I honestly think this is actually a good opener, and I really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. Let's keep the good vibes going with track number 2, Fuck With Dre Day, and Everybody's Celebrating. Maybe the best title on the album. Featuring Snoop Dogg, RBX, and Jewel. This one's written by Colin Wolfe, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg, and it samples Ain't No Future in Yo Frontin' by MC Breed and DFC, Atomic Dog by George Clinton, Check Yourself by Ice Cube. This exact song was also sampled on Respect by the Notorious B.I.G., Not Just Knee Deep by Funkadelic, P.D. Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law, Sketch 2, and The Human Tornado. All 3 are by Rudy Ray Moore. This was the second single, released as Dre Day on May 8th, 1993. It peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and is certified gold in the US. This is a diss towards his ex-group NWA, specifically Eazy-E, although Ice Cube does get a few disses as well. There are also shots at Tim Dog and Uncle Luke of 2 Live Crew, who are other rappers who dared to diss Compton and Dr. Dre's friends. I find it so interesting that there's such an obsession with telling your enemies to fuck you and suck your dick while also calling them gay. Like, is that supposed to go hard? This is a good beat, but the lyrics are so weird and homoerotic for 2 people who seemingly thought calling someone gay was a good diss. And it reminds me of Walter Sobchak. This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. Ultimately, this is what I thought all classic hip-hop sounded like, and it's pretty disappointing. Great title, though. This is a 2.5.
Whoa, that's interesting. I mean, it does feel very classic to me. When it comes to like the production, I feel like it is quite a bit one note. Like I want some more variation in it. And I think it could like do a little bit more. But at the same time, it is, in my opinion, like a vibe song. And even though, to your point, the lyrics are kind of like,
Yeah, yep.
It does make it very fun. Like, in some way. And I will say, I think the ending worked more for me when it comes to the song. The female vocalist at the end is kind of what made it work quite a bit more. It's still a step down. It's a 3, but it still works for me as a kind of vibe song.
Track number 3, Let Me Ride, featuring Snoop Dogg, RBX, and Jewel. Additional vocals on here are by Ruben R.C. Cruz. This one is written by RBX and Snoop Dogg, and it samples Funky Drummer by James Brown, Kissing My Love by Bill Withers, Rough Rhyme Back Again by King T, and Mothership Connection and Swing Down Sweet Chariot, both by Parliament. This was the third and final single, released August 28th, 1993. It peaked at number 34 on the Billboard Hot 100. This song, as I said before, also won a Grammy for Best Rap Solo Performance, which is a category that does not exist anymore. I said that this song is more of a vibe. It's a story song, like what we heard a lot of on Biggie's album, but I don't find it as compelling. It's got some nice production, but ultimately, I don't have a ton to say. And I don't have a ton to say about a lot of these songs. I gave this one a 2.5.
I also don't have a lot to say, honestly.
It's pretty straightforward, you know, old rap music.
It
I
is.
wake up in the morning and I walk down the street kind of thing, you know, like...
I enjoy this song, and I think it evolves very well. In some ways, it doesn't work as well as the last 2 songs, while also kind of working better in some way, because I feel like it evolves at least a little bit more. I was honestly thinking about a 3.5 at some point, but considering that in some ways it doesn't work as good for me as Fuck with Dre Day, I kind of have to give it a 3, even though in some ways I kind of want to like it a little bit more. I don't know.
All right. Interesting. I guess that's it.
That's it.
We don't have a lot to say about these songs. It's mostly going to be me reading the samples, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Track number 4. No, I will not be saying the N-word. I'm sorry. The Day the Guys Took Over, featuring Daz, Snoop Dogg, and RBX. Written by Daz Dillinger, Dr. Dre, RBX, and Snoop Dogg. This one samples Living Together is Keeping Us Apart by Clarence Reed, Love's Gonna Get Ya by Boogie Down Productions, Mr. Dream Merchant by the Iceman's Band, Taurus, Aries, and Leo by the JBs, and dialogue from Birth of a Nation 4/29/1992,
Whoa.
and K-Cal's coverage of the 1992 LA riots. No, that's not Birth of a Nation like the racist one. That's Birth of a Nation about Rodney King. Yeah. First off, fuck the LAPD. I would describe this as an evil-ass beat, but it works very well for the song. There are some great rhymes and bars. There's also a third verse that doesn't work for me at all. It's a cool song and it's definitely a vibe, but unfortunately it still remains at a 2.5.
I think this song is like forceful in a way that it kind of needs to be, considering what it's about. At the same time, it does feel very, very messy to me. It feels like there's honestly too much going on.
I can see that.
I can't really focus on what the song really is about because there's so much in it in a way, which I think is a shame, because I think like if it came together a little bit more for me, it would actually be a very strong song on this album. But as it is, I think it's just a little bit too messy, and it's just a 2.5. Like I wanted to like it more than I did.
Track number 5, Nothing But a G Thing, featuring Snoop Dogg. written by Frederick Knight, Leon Haywood, and Snoop Dogg, and it samples Are You Looking by Congress Alley, B-Side Wins Again by Public Enemy, I Want to Do Something Freaky to You by Leon Haywood, It's My Thing by EPMD, Uphill Peace of Mind by Kid Dynamite, and West Coast Pop Lock by Ronnie Hudson and the Street People. Some incredible names of bands on here and songs too.
Yeah.
I Want to Do Something Freaky to You specifically. This was the lead single released January 19th, 1993. It peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 and is certified platinum in the US. It is considered one of the best rap songs, and Rolling Stone has it at number 29 on their 500 greatest songs list. Also, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame listed it as one of the 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. Isn't that kind of insane?
That is
We just
insane.
covered Pink Floyd last week, and they had a song that was one of the songs that shaped rock and roll. I never think about rap music as shaping rock and roll, but I guess it did. And if you take like a punk-like approach to it, where it's like, you know, what's the underground? Where are all the people gravitating towards and the people that are breaking down boundaries? You know, that was rap music for a lot of its history. Sadly, not so much anymore because I feel like we are kind of stagnant in rap music, but
I mean, yeah,
it'll circle back around eventually.
hopefully.
Dre said about this song, the original version of Nothing But a G Thing was made to a Boz Scaggs song. I can't remember the name of the song, but Snoop was actually in jail and I really wanted this demo done. So he called in and I taped the receiver of the phone to the mic. You can hear jail sounds in the back and everything. He's going 1, 2, that whole thing. That was the original version. I just happened to be at my mom's house going through records, and I found this Leon Haywood sample and thought that would make a better foundation track. So I took that back, recorded the track, Snoop got out, and we just recorded this song at my house. It was a bedroom that I converted into a studio in my house. That's where the first half of The Chronic came from. I played it at a house party, and everybody wanted me to rewind it and keep playing it. That's when I knew it was special. And I said, it's all right, but I can't say it does too much for me. This one has some of the better flows, though, so I'll bump it up to a 3. At this point, I am slightly disappointed, but I think that's only because I built this up in my head that I would like it after how much I enjoyed our 90s rap album last season. Before that, I think I had the correct read on this album. Maybe that's why I never listened to it until now. This one is a 3, though.
This song actually did work quite a bit better for me.
Nice.
To your point, it does have some really, really good flows. And I actually really enjoy Snoop Dogg on this specific song. I feel like he stands out particularly here, and he does a really good job with this song. It's got a great pace, and I really like the production. Like it just really comes together for me. And so far, definitely my favorite. And I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this might be my favorite on the album. Maybe. It's a 3.5.
Track number 6, D's Nuts, featuring Warren G, Snoop Dogg, Daz, and Nate Dogg. Written by Colin Wolfe, Daz Dillinger, Dr. Dre, Nate Dogg, and Snoop Dogg. And it samples Chestnuts by Rudy Ray Moore, Living Together is Keeping Us Apart by Clarence Reed, Pull Fancy Dancer / Pull by One Way, I don't know, and dialogue from the 1957 TV show Perry Mason. I wrote, the best beat so far. It's scheming in a way that I like. There's some good bars on here. I just wish we didn't have the skit at the beginning and it was its own separate track. I'm also always a fan of letting the beat play at the end because it feels like a victory lap. This one just went on a little too long. Still a 3 though, and this one is actually my favorite on the album.
Whoa, that's really interesting.
I said this would be your least favorite.
You did. I actually find this to be just a fun song again.
Oh, okay, nice.
Like, I feel like with my approach with the songs that are just kind of crazier and more out there, I end up really enjoying because it's just fun to listen to. It feels very wild. The opening is crazy. But again, like the production works for me. It does go on a little bit too long, I think, but it's just like crazy and fun enough to just keep me engaged the whole time. And I mean, hey, you can't go wrong with that title. This is also a 3.5 for me.
I will say, I think we're in the middle of a little bit of a run here. I think the middle of the album is the strongest. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I agree up to a certain extent. We will kind of see where that extent is for me.
Track number 7, Lil Ghetto Boy, featuring Daz and Snoop Dogg, written by Snoop Dogg in the DOC. This one samples Endless Flight by Rodney Franklin, Little Ghetto Boy by Donny Hathaway, The Breakdown Part 2 by Rufus Thomas, as well as dialogue from Birth of a Nation 429, 1992, and Firecrackers Lit with Match from Sound Ideas, the sound effect library. This song is also sampled in Things Done Changed by the Notorious B.I.G., and I clocked it immediately. I was like, oh my god, I've heard this before. And I wrote, this has a chill beat and some good storytelling raps. It stays at a 3 because of the funky bass line and the flute. Very well played.
This feels like a more cohesive version of the number 4 song, The Day the Blank Took Over. It's another vibe song, which I enjoy. I don't feel like it's honestly to the level of the last 2 songs, but it's still enjoyable and it's still at a 3. This is kind of the end of the run, but also not, because like, I don't know, I'm still like in the vibe. There's just something about the last 2 songs that feels a little bit special, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Track number 8, A Guy with a Gun. I'm not saying the N-word. Written by Snoop Dogg and the DOC. This one samples Big Sur Sweet by Johnny Hammond, Friends by Houdini, and both Get Down and Who's the Man with the Master Plan by the KGs. I said this is a great example of an evil-ass beat and maybe Dre's best lyrics. And he didn't even write them, but he does have a great voice for delivering them. I love the anger in this one. He dares you to fuck with him. This is a 3. The run is still going for me.
It's another like song that feels more forceful in a way. There's like some more to it, I guess. It's like a deeper song. Ironically, though, again, it feels a little bit heavy to me. I do like it, but I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't work as well as some of the lighter songs, which maybe is just like my personal preference. That being said, it is a 3. So it is like still staying on that level. And I will say, like, in general, I feel like this album is very cohesive and kind of stays very cohesive and at a certain level of quality throughout. Although, as you can probably tell by now, it doesn't work as well as Biggie's album did.
We'll talk about that at the end. I did want to ask, when you say heavy, do you mean like in subject matter? Like you don't like the guys going out doing crime?
Well, I think it's both like the song itself, and I mean, obviously the subject matter is obviously heavy, but I mean more like the song itself.
Okay. Track number 9, The Sound My Gun Makes, Rat Tat Tat Tat, featuring RBX, Snoop Dogg, and BJ. Written by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. This one samples Brother's Gonna Work It Out by Willie Hutch, Feel Good Party Time by J.R. Funk and the Love Machine, Potbelly by Lou Donaldson, Rocksteady by Aretha Franklin, and Vegetable Wagon by Donny Hathaway. I said shout out to Vietnam in verse 2. And this has the catchiest chorus on here, and the verses are solid. It's a vibe, and it's a 3.
I mean, it has a very interesting start and then shift. And ironically, I actually like how busy it is, which I know typically I feel like I don't, because I don't like when there's too much. But it fits here. I do want something a little bit more lyrical, I feel like. But it's kind of staying at that 3 for me. I will say, though, we are about to enter another little mini run in a second.
And it all starts with track number 10, The $20 Sack Pyramid, featuring the DOC. And additional vocals on here are by Big Titty Nikki and Samara.
Ooh.
Written by Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and the DOC. It samples Papa Was Too by Joe Tex, We're in the Money by Ginger Rogers, and the $25,000 Pyramid theme song. The guy with the crazy voice is the DOC. His voice got messed up from a car crash, and he became a ghostwriter after that, which he did a lot of on this album, writing bars for Dr. Dre. I said this song is just fun, but however, it is not a song, and it does not get a rating.
Oh, so you didn't give this a rating?
No, it's not a song.
Well, let me tell you guys.
It's a skit.
It is absolutely a skit, but I'm still going to rate it because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's a
Nice.
3.5. It's just really funny. I enjoy listening to it.
Track number 11, Lyrical Gangbang, featuring The Lady of Rage, Corrupt, and RBX, written by Daz Dillinger, Dr. Dre, Corrupt, RBX, Snoop Dogg, the DOC, and The Lady of Rage. This one samples 36 Speech Mail by Zero G, Damn by The Nightlighters, Hole in the Head by Cypress Hill, Played Like a Piano by King T, The Breakdown Part 2 by Rufus Thomas, and When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin.
I noticed that.
This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area. I also wrote down the lyric, I'm living large like a fat bitch. Why not? You know? Unfortunately, I did say that this one is just boring. Flow-wise, it's all over the place, and the production isn't particularly engaging. This one is a 2, and unfortunately, this is where I think the album falls apart for me.
Let me tell you something. It's definitely like beat forward rather than melody forward, but I love the vocal performance. And to me, it just works so well. This is a 3.5. This is the end of my second mini 2-song run. Even though
2
one of them is a
songs.
song. But, I count.
Damn.
It works for me.
Track number 12, High Powered, featuring the Lady of Rage, RBX, and Daz, written by Colin Wolfe, Dr. Dre, and RBX. And it samples Big Sir Sweet by John Hammond, Buffalo Gals by Malcolm McLaren, and Kung Fusion by Charles Earland. I wrote that this song didn't need to be on the album, and that synth tone actually hurts my ears. This is a 1.5.
Yeah, I like the explosions.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, those are fun. I think it's a solid song. It kind of starts and stops in a way that's kind of weird to me.
It also has a long ass intro that's just like speaking.
It does.
It's like, okay.
But I mean, that being said, like it's still somewhat enjoyable. Like I wouldn't mind this song being on. It definitely doesn't work as well as a lot of the other songs, but like kind of like what I said before, I feel like everything here is kind of at a certain level, and this is included. So it's ironically still at a 3 for me.
Track number 13, The Doctor's Office, featuring Jewel and the Lady of Rage, written by Dr. Dre, Jewel, Kevin Lewis, and the Lady of Rage, and it samples Back in Bed Again by Jewel. I think this might be your favorite song, because it's not a classic rap album unless we have a skit with people fucking.
True.
Once again, I wrote that this did not need to be on the album. I don't actually think this will be your favorite song, but...
No, obviously.
Why does this exist? Is just my question. But I guess why do any of them exist on any of the classic rap albums?
This is a 2.5. Almost a 2.
Oh, you did rate it.
I did rate it. Honestly,
I did
with
not
this,
rate
I was
this
like,
one.
why not? But yeah, this is a 2.5, almost a 2. Why did we need this? Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to give this a 2. This is a 2. Why did we need this?
Okay.
We did not need this at all.
Yeah, give it a 2. You've heard better.
I've heard better skits like this.
Yeah, Biggie's album last year.
Exactly. I was listening to this and I was like, why?
Yeah, at least it's short. I'll give him that.
True. At least it's short.
That's what she said. Track number 14, Stranded on Death Row, featuring Corrupt, RBX, The Lady of Rage, Snoop Dogg, and Bushwick Bill. Written by Corrupt, RBX, Snoop Dogg, and The Lady of Rage. And this one samples Do Your Thing, live at the Sahara Tahoe by Isaac Hayes. If It Don't Turn You On, You Gotta Leave It Alone by BT Express. Not Just Knee Deep by Funkadelic. So What You Sayin' by EPMD. The Jam by Graham Central Station. And this exact song was sampled on Friend of Mine by the Notorious B.I.G. And of course, Door Metal Cell Close Jail Cell Castle by Sound Ideas.
God.
David, why don't you bring your ass over to Crenshaw and Slauson?
I should.
You should. Go visit. See, this is where Dre used to live, maybe? I don't know. Or I don't even remember who said that. It might be Corrupt that said it on this song. Somebody was there.
I know there's a metro stop on Crenshaw somewhere, but not there.
David's scared to get too close to Compton.
Excuse me? When they build a metro there, I will visit.
David's too scared to drive through Compton. That's more like it.
I'm too scared to drive, period. I don't have a car.
This one's a decent song, and it's just 4 verses from cell blocks 1, 2, 4, and H. The Lady of Rage said about her decision not to be in cell block 3, I ended my verse with cell block H because I remember running across a television show called Prisoner, Cell Block H, and I think it was about a women's prison. Me being the female in this crew, I just referenced a female's prison, Cell Block H. And I said, this one's all right. Not super memorable, but nothing wrong with it. 2.5.
It's not my favorite. Let me just say that first of all. But I feel like the second half of the song really, really comes together for me.
I agree.
To the point where if the whole song was like the second half, this would probably be my favorite.
Verse 3, verse 4, both great.
Amazing.
Both way better than verse 1 and 2.
Absolutely. And it's kind of a shame because it's like if this song was more consistent, it would really, really work. As it is, it's still a 3.5, but...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it's still up there. And it's purely because of the second half. But there's I just wish that it was so much stronger because it would have really, really been the best song on the album if that was the case. So it's just kind of a shame.
Maybe one day it'll grow to a 4.
True, if they change the first half.
Yeah, go find Dre and see if he'll do it. And maybe he's at the corner of Crenshaw and Slauson.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to bring your ass over there. Track number 15, The Roach, the Chronic outro. Additional vocals by Daz, Emage, Jewel, RBX, Ruben R.C. Cruz, and The Lady of Rage. And it's written by Daz Dillinger, RBX, and The Lady of Rage. It samples P-Funk Wants to Get Funked Up by Parliament. I wrote, it's an outro, but it's also kind of a song. Either way, it does not work for me at all. I gave it a 1 and it is easily my least favorite.
Whoa.
Maybe I'd like it better if I smoked weed. David, as the resident pothead on this podcast, does this song work for you? There we go.
Sorry, I just had to take a hit there. It's fine. I like the chorus, but I don't have much to say. I feel like at this point it kind of blends into the album overall. It's very much in that same kind of style, which I feel like after a certain point I become kind of lost in. That being said, like, it's still a 3 for me. I think it, again, stays consistent with the album, and I don't hate it. But I will say it could have been stronger.
Did you choose a least favorite yet?
No.
Okay.
But I have one in mind.
Interesting. Maybe it is the final track, number 16, Bitches Ain't Shit, featuring Snoop Dogg, Daz, Corrupt, and Jewel. Written by Colin Wolfe, Daz Dillinger, Dr. Dre, Corrupt, Snoop Dogg, and the DOC. This one samples Adolescent Funk by Funkadelic, Let's Get Small by Trouble Funk, and The Bridge by MC Shan. This one's another diss track towards Eazy-E and the owner of the label where Dre used to be signed, Jerry Heller of Ruthless Records. On this one, Dre and his friends call the guys bitches because that'll get them. I said this is sadly a catchy song, but it appears we have lost the plot by verse 3 and just start rapping about actual women. As it says on the Wikipedia page about this song, Corrupt's verse focuses more on his resentment of women and sex workers. So, shout out, I guess.
Yeah.
And I said the beat is good, but it's not very fun to listen to. Not a fan of the outro. I'm going to give it a 2. God, the beat is good, but man, I don't want to hear these lyrics again.
To me, I don't really feel like particularly strong about this song. I think it works fine. Like, it definitely, I think, should not have been the last song on the album.
No. Very weird
I don't think
placement
it
for
fits. Yes, but like, it's still solid. It still honestly like fits into that general level that I feel the whole album kind of has, which some people might think is kind of crazy. I will say at this point, everything was blending in together though, for me. So I was kind of having a hard time like actually dissecting the songs out from like each other. And I think that's maybe why the end was kind of also very consistent instead of being maybe a little bit lower. But it still is a 3. I wanted to throw out, because I didn't say it while we were saying the album because I was kind of making up my mind, but I do want to throw out my favorite and least favorite.
I'll do that first. D's Nuts is my favorite. My least favorite is The Roach, the Chronic outro.
Not counting interludes, because then it would definitely be Doctor's Office. But
yeah.
My least favorite is The Day the Blank Took Over, which again is a shame because if it was cohesive, I feel like it could have been so much stronger. I feel like my favorite is probably Nothing But a G Thing.
Okay. One of the singles.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I feel like I'm going to throw it in there. Yeah. I feel like it just stands out a little bit more maybe in some ways.
We have reached the end of the album. And I will tell you first, it's fine. I feel like it gets a little too samey in the production and it's a little too lyrically boring. There are some great moments, but overall I wasn't that enthralled with it, especially as an album. I ended up giving this a 2.5. And I'm curious what your score is.
I think that this album is very, very consistent. The thing is, it's kind of consistent at a level that's kind of like, yeah, it's solid, but it's not anything like breathtaking, for lack of a better word. Like it's solid, but it doesn't sweep me away in any way. So in some ways, it doesn't have like the lows that some of the other 90s rap albums had, but it also doesn't have the highs, particularly when it comes to Biggie's album, which I personally liked quite a bit more. And I feel like has a lot more going on in it versus this, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just honestly not as interested in this. This is a 3.
I have to ask, will you add any of these songs to playlists? Will you return to this album?
I mean, I still need to make a rap playlist, honestly.
I can't believe you don't have one. Actually, I can't believe that because David hates rap music, you know.
There are maybe some songs I will add, like Nothing Like a G Thing. I just need to make a rap playlist first.
Do you consider yourself a fan of Dr. Dre now?
I'm not a fan per se, but I'm also not a fan. I guess I just don't feel very strongly in any way, to be honest.
Your opinion remains the same, having listened to this album as it was before the album.
Honestly, yeah.
You already said this, but last season we listened to the Notorious B.I.G.'s album. He's from the East Coast. Now we've finally listened to a 90s West Coast album. So which coast are you a fan of more?
I mean, ironically, in spite of the fact that I was born and raised on the West Coast, considering that I preferred Biggie's album so much more. I guess not so much more, but I did prefer it. I guess I gotta say that I'm a East Coast fan.
I agree.
It's so much more interesting. Sorry, but it's true.
Biggie's album was a big surprise to me. This album was pretty much exactly what I thought it would be before I was surprised by liking 90s rap.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I've heard a few of the songs on here and I was kind of like, yeah, I know what that sounds like. And I know that that's not really my style. We got 2 other locations to try out. We got the Midwest in the 90s and we got the South in the 90s. We'll see if we cover any of those in the near future. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we will let you know what we're covering a week in advance. So maybe there'll be one in the future. Who knows? I have to ask you the final question. What do you think of this pairing?
I mean, thematically they fit. Nothing else really fits, but...
I mean, 90s in LA, and they're both doing crime, to an extent.
Yeah, and in that way it fits. I agree with that.
And I like it. It's a study in a place and at a certain time, which we've done before. And I feel like those always work out well. So on that note, we got to talk about a movie.
We are talking about The Big Lebowski, which is a neo-noir crime comedy. A lot of stuff altogether. But first, we got to talk about the IMDb logline. Jeff the Dude Lebowski, mistaken for a millionaire of the same name, seeks restitution for his ruined rug and enlists his bowling buddies to help get it.
That's pretty good. I like that.
I think that's the best you can do for this movie. Now, the movie is, of course, directed by Joel Coen. This is before they started putting both their names for everything.
Yes, before the DGA allowed them to, I think.
Yes, before they were allowed. And because of that, officially, according to the credits, it's directed by Joel Coen and produced by Ethan Coen. Of course, they did both of those together. It's written by the Coen brothers, it's weird that they allowed it for writing, but not for the other two. I don't know. The cinematography is, of course, by Roger Deakins, who has worked with them on almost every single one of their films. It's edited by Roderick Janes and Trisha Cook. The music is by Carter Burwell, and it's distributed by Gramercy Pictures. Of course, it's rated R, and stars Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, John Turturro, Julianne Moore, and many, many others. There is a giant cast for this thing. How do you think they came up with the character of Jeffrey the Dude Lebowski?
It's got to be a real person.
Of course it's a real person. There's no other way. Yeah.
Right, what you know.
They based this character off of several different people. They were inspired by several different people, but there was kind of one person who was at the center, the person that maybe inspired them the most. And this was American film producer and activist Jeff Dowd. He was an actual member of the Seattle Seven, just a radical anti-Vietnam War movement. Of course, in the movie, the dude mentions this, that he was part of the Seven. This is Dowd again. He liked to drink White Russians, and he was literally known as the Dude. Several other people made up parts of both the Dude and other characters, including Peter Exlin. He is, I believe, currently a faculty member at USC, and he was a friend of the Coen brothers, probably still a friend, apologies. He was a Vietnam War veteran who was proud of a little rug that really tied the room together. He told many stories, including a story about his actor-writer friend Louis Abernathy, who helped him track down and confront a high schooler who had stolen his car. There was another inspiration, which is someone whose movies we will probably watch at some point, because they were influenced by director John Milius, rather I should say director and writer. Now, when we talk about some of the stuff he's done, we'll see that he's kind of a little wild, because he has a love for guns, which was given to Walter in the movie. For reference, John Milius wrote the first draft of Apocalypse Now, and he pitched it to George Lucas, but the way he pitched it was, okay, let's write this and then go to Vietnam while the war is still going on and film it there. So that tells you about John Milius. And George Lucas was like, I think I'm okay, thank you. The other element of this is the work of Raymond Chandler, who we I believe we did talk about him when we're talking about Double Indemnity, because he is, of course, the very well-known noir novelist, and his work has influenced the Coens, and they base the structure of the film on a lot of his work. As Ethan said, quote, we wanted something that would generate a certain narrative feeling, like a modern Raymond Chandler story, and that's why it had to be set in Los Angeles. We wanted to have a narrative flow, a story that moves like a Chandler book through different parts of town and different social classes, end quote. Which I feel like you do see. I mean, they even make it all the way to the valley.
All the way.
Now, when it came to casting, Joel remarked that, quote, we tend to write both for people we know and have worked with, and some parts without knowing who's going to play the role. In the Big Lebowski, we did write for John and Steve, but we didn't know who was getting the Jeff Bridges role, end quote. And the first person that they approached was... Actually, do you want to take a guess?
Brad Pitt.
Let's say someone that is kind of canceled.
Johnny Depp. Kevin Spacey.
It was Mel Gibson.
Oh.
Which I don't see at all. I'm sorry.
No.
That doesn't make any sense to me. He did not take the project seriously and turned it down. Jeff Bridges, meanwhile, also turned it down, or thought about it, because he thought it would be a bad example for his daughters. I think he was thinking something like, I don't want them to see me just like smoking weed all day and like drinking milk at the supermarket. But his daughter Jessica literally convinced him to take the role. And it was actually a match made in heaven, because there are a lot of similarities between the dude and Bridges like in his 20s. He said that he, quote, drew on myself a lot from back in the 60s and 70s. I lived in a little place like that and did drugs, although I think I was a little more creative than the dude, end quote. And it was so close that a lot of the clothes you see him wearing in the film are literally just his real clothes. Like, he went to his closet, picked out a bunch of clothes, took them to the costume designer, and was like, does this work? And she was like, yeah, great. Now, as I mentioned, of course, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, they joined because the roles were written specifically for them, and they had, I believe, both worked with the Coen brothers at this point. But someone who was harder to cast was the other, Jeffrey Lebowski. They approached Robert Duvall, who didn't like the script. They went to Anthony Hopkins, who didn't want to play an American. And then they went to Gene Hackman, who was taking a break. So eventually David Huddleston was cast. I love just Anthony Hopkins being like, I don't want to play one of you. I'm sorry. They filmed for roughly 11 weeks in and around Los Angeles. So it was actually filmed here.
What a surprise.
And I'm so happy they did, because it would not have worked, I think, as well as it does like if it wasn't filmed in Los Angeles. One of the locations was the Hollywood Star Lanes, where they filmed all the bowling stuff for 3 weeks. And before every single take, Bridges would go to the Coen brothers and say, do you think the dude burned one over? Meaning, like, do you think he smoked before this scene? And they would say yes, and he would rub his eyes to make them bloodshot.
Did you find what Ralph's they shot at? Because I'm actually very curious.
No, I actually did not check.
Damn,
I should have checked. Ooh, okay. It seems like the Ralph's that they shot at was at 1745 S. Garfield Avenue on the border of South Pasadena and Alhambra, California.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it seems like the interior has been remodeled since then.
That makes sense.
So it seems like it doesn't look the same. But yeah, it was released on March 6th, 1998, and it did okay. It wasn't really a hit. It made like $46 million, which isn't great. And it didn't do very well with the critics either. It got very mixed reviews. A lot of people didn't really understand it.
I can see that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of people were confused. And I think a lot of this also came from the fact that this is the movie that followed Fargo.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a big hit, critical acclaim. It won Oscars. They're kind of like in between a rock and a hard place, I feel like, because it's like you're following up your acclaimed film, no matter what you do, it's not going to be able to reach that same high, especially if it's something like this, which is very different and also very specific, and I think a lot of people didn't expect for their next project to be something like this. I would imagine they wanted something closer to Fargo. I think that's a large reason why it kind of failed, but also why it kind of became a cult, because it did, and it didn't take long. Literally by like 2002, it was already being called a cult film, and that was when the first Lebowski Fest took place in Kentucky. So 4 years later, there's already a whole festival around this film.
In Kentucky?
In Kentucky. I don't know why.
I don't know of many Polish people from Kentucky. Seems like Chicago or Milwaukee would be the perfect place for that.
I also feel like Los Angeles makes more sense considering the film is about
ultimately,
Los Angeles.
yes. Yeah.
Like, Kentucky. The film's like cult status only grew when in 2005, Oliver Benjamin, who is also known as the Doodly Lama, formed a literal religion based off of the film called Dudism that has a coherent philosophy partially based on Buddhism and Taoism. It is going strong to this day with 600,000 ordained ministers worldwide.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's insane.
It's like an actually big thing that is thriving like to this day, which is absolutely wild.
We should start a religion, I think.
Yeah, the uncultured pop culture religion.
Yeah, we need a better name than that, though. If we can get tax exempt status, that's a game changer.
Well, right off just everything in our lives.
Right off the show, but then also I think if we're practicing our religion every day that we record, I think the places that we record at have to be tax exempt as well. So, maybe this will be the way that we can finally buy an apartment or a condo or maybe even a house if we're lucky.
A $3 million house that we write off.
That's the dream.
But yeah, I mean, this is how big the Big Lebowski became.
The huge Lebowski.
And I mean, this is literally just 8 years after the film came out. And it continued to grow to the point that like now it's as popular as ever, to the point that I kind of wonder if it's a cult film anymore. I feel like now it's just a popular film.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's transcended cult status.
I agree. I think it has absolutely transcended cult status, because I feel like another thing is that a lot of cult films still aren't seen that highly by critics, but this is.
It has been reevaluated?
It has been reevaluated. It's considered one of the greatest black comedies of all time, and also it's considered to be one of the Coen brothers' best films. Like,
interesting.
It has fully been reevaluated to the point that in 2014, the Library of Congress selected the film to be preserved in the National Film Registry as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. I feel like I say that every single episode at this point.
You have been saying it a lot recently. I will say that.
But this movie did receive a standalone sequel. The movie is called The Jesus Rolls. It's written by and directed and stars John Turturro as Jesus Quintia. And it was produced by the Coen brothers, but that was all the involvement that they had. It bombed and received negative reviews, and it has not become a cult hit as of 2026. I will say, I don't think anyone can make a sequel to Coen brothers aside from the Coen brothers themselves.
Yeah, you can't fuck with the Jesus.
And the Jesus himself tried, and it did not work. So I have to ask you the very important question now. We know your history with cult films, so now we need to find out if this broke your streak of cult films not working for you.
I should start it off by saying I have seen this before. I watched it when I was in high school.
Oh.
So I know that. And I had an idea of what I thought about it from back then, but I remembered very little of it. I remembered him being in Ralph's. I remembered them dropping off the like briefcase or whatever, and then like shooting at the car.
Yeah.
As it was happening, I kind of remembered when Walter lifts the Big Lebowski out of his chair and like throws him on the ground. But like outside of that, I really didn't remember a lot of it. And it was kind of a fun experience to go back and watch it. I will say, however, I liked it better when I was younger. I don't like it as much now. And I don't know if some of that is that I don't remember what I thought of it immediately after watching it, and that it just kind of like grew to be better than it was in my mind over all these years. But I don't know. I will say, I don't think I was disappointed, but I was a little bit taken aback, I guess. And I could see at the end of the movie that this was in fact a cult film.
Well, let me tell you something. I had a pretty similar reaction.
Oh, really?
I saw this quite a while ago, something like 6 years ago, maybe 8. You might notice that I purposefully did not say the number in between, but I think it was actually like 7. Anyways, it's been a while since I've seen this pretty much.
We're doing this 6-7 motion right now, just so you're aware.
We're doing the motion right now. That's why you hear those weird little like
mouth sounds. Yeah, I have to leave them in now, unfortunately.
Yeah. We'll do a few more of them throughout the rest of the episode. But no, so it's been a while for me too. I think for me it was maybe like first year of college or last year of high school, somewhere around there where I saw this film. And I mean, I really enjoyed it. For perspective, I gave it a 5. I was like, perfect film. And coming back to it now, I'm not sure if it's because I'm older or if it's because it's the second time I'm watching it. But it's not as strong as I remember it to be, even though I still like really enjoyed it. It's obviously still very, very funny as a film, but it's definitely not to the level that I thought it was. I did want to ask, what is your favorite part? I feel like everyone has a very specific favorite part of this film. And I mean, I kind of know what yours is, but
I don't know. I have a few favorite parts. I like the Jesus. Mm-hmm. I find him awesome. Very fun. I remember more of him in like, he wasn't in it a lot, and it was kind of crazy.
He's just that type of character where he really sticks in your brain, and you're like, oh yeah, he's in like half the film, right? And then he's like in what, like 2 scenes?
Also, I really liked when Walter brought a gun to the club. I thought that was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
I didn't really remember that. I was just like insane. And that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
I think that's also another great line that always sticks in my head. I don't know. There's a lot of great jokes and just like one-off comments throughout the movie. Yeah, it's just an enjoyable experience.
I think that's honestly what the film excels at in some ways. Like the comedy really, really works. And it's also the type of comedy that could also very easily not work, but it does.
Yeah, you have to be down with it for it to work. And I was there.
No, same. And it did work. And there is a very specific character that works the best for me, which is kind of why I brought this up, because in my opinion, everyone is great in this film, first of all. But John Goodman, and specifically John Goodman and like Steve Buscemi paired together, steal every scene that they're in my opinion. Any scene with him, you know, is going to be funny, especially when Donnie's there for him to say, "Shut the fuck up, Donnie." It really, really works. And I remember like going into this, I was wondering if the part that would maybe not work for me the most was actually the comedy, but it wasn't that. I feel like it was maybe some of the other parts of the film that just didn't work as well for me. Like it was kind of like the inverse of what I thought might happen.
I do want to speak about the thing that like, I feel like we're kind of dancing around, which is the thing that didn't work for me as much as I thought it did or remembered it working, which is the story.
Yeah.
It's a very long and complicated and winding story, and I like that, and I think there's a way to do that.
Yes.
I don't know that it completely worked here, though. I feel like it, somewhere around the end of Act 2, started to fall apart and become a little too meandering, and then there's not really like an end to it that feels that satisfying. Like, Donnie just dies, and it's like, okay, that's the end, and you get a joke, and it's pretty funny, but it's like, was that the outcome that we were prepared for at the beginning of the story? I don't think so. And that's where that cult status kind of comes in, where I was like, oh yeah, I get it, you know?
I can see that. To anyone that's like, oh, you just don't like it because it was like trying to be confusing. No, I actually think that that's like the perfect approach to go with the story for this style. Like it should be a really like confusing, all over the place, kind of nonsensical mystery. I just think that there's a way to make it a lot tighter and honestly, in some ways, like more confusing to the point where it's like it doesn't even matter in some ways, you know? Like, I guess I almost wanted the characters themselves to be more confused and kind of go with the flow, if that makes any sense. I wanted the confusion to be more like impactful, I guess, in some ways. But I mean, yeah, I do think that is the weakest part, even though I feel like it does get close to like working pretty well. I just think that maybe there's something a little bit off. At the same time, I say that while I also have no idea how I would try and fix it. Like I don't think I'm good enough to.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do. And in some ways, I feel like, the Coen brothers have maybe done similar stuff that is maybe more effective. Maybe something like Fargo, although I honestly don't remember Fargo very well from when I watched it last. I guess I'm going to throw it to you for any like final thoughts on your score now, because I don't really have any other questions, honestly.
Well, the movie did remind me of one thing that we watched earlier this season, and that was Kieran's episode, The Beach Bum, because I feel like these two movies kind of have a similar vibe to them, where this one's just a little bit more in your face funny, where The Beach Bum is kind of like, like crazy situations. The Beach Bum is much more modern. This feels very much of its time. I guess both movies are very much of their time. It's just I grew up in the time that The Beach Bum is set.
True.
And I did not grow up in the 90s. And this is my frame of reference for it. It's like, oh, wow. Yeah, this would happen in the 90s, I guess. But I feel like the dude, and I'm forgetting the Beach Bum guy's name, Matthew McConaughey, whatever his character is, Moondog, that's it. I feel like they're very similar, and the way they navigate life is very similar. And
I can see that.
As I was watching that, I was like, there's a movie that this is similar to that I've seen. And it turns out that it was this movie, The Big Lebowski, that I was thinking of and just didn't realize it because it had been, like 10 years since I had watched it last. But I think this works better for me than The Beach Bum. I mean, just straight up, it's my type of humor more. And I think it's a little bit more of a story that's easier to follow, that feels like it's going somewhere, even if it doesn't stick the landing like I want it to. Ultimately, I am giving this movie a 3.5.
Nice. I think that's a good score.
Going in, I was thinking it was a 4, and I was thinking maybe it could even be a 4.5. But, I am ultimately a lover of story. And the story is great here for many parts of the film until it just isn't anymore at the end. And, I can't forgive that much. But 3.5 is still good. True. I would watch this again. I think it's very funny. And I love comedy. What can I say?
I mean, I'm in agreement. Going back into this, I looked up my score on Letterboxd and I saw this was a 5. And I honestly doubted that it would be that score again before I even watched it, because interestingly enough, I haven't been pulled to rewatch this that much. Like, if it's on, I'll watch it. I'll have a good time. But I never felt like, oh, I need to go and watch The Big Lebowski like right now. I haven't had that feeling since I watched it. So I kind of felt like I probably would like it less than I did the first time. And I did. And I am in agreement with you, like, that it is the story that's the culprit. Because again, it is very funny. It's very good at what it does. And the story does work at a lot of parts. It just ultimately, in some parts, stronger, but ultimately as a whole, it's not as strong as it could be, which is a shame. This is a 4 for me.
Okay.
So still like a good score. Still a movie I really enjoy. Still a movie I would watch, but definitely not a 5 the way that I had it before.
You are growing and changing as a person.
I am.
I guess I am too.
This podcast. Yeah. We both are. Hey, I gave a rap album a 3.
That's not a surprise. I feel like you generally don't like rap that much. I think it's more surprising that I gave it a 2.5.
Okay, fine.
But yeah.
Look at my score for the Biggie album. That's me growing. Boom.
That is true. And that was a year ago. So hopefully you have grown even more since then.
Or maybe I've regressed. Who knows?
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the latter.
Who knows? We'll have more rap albums in the future. And if you want to follow along, the best thing to do to ensure that we get to cover those future rap albums is to support the show on Spotify, on Apple. Leave us a review. Wherever you're listening, leave us a rating, leave us a comment, whatever you can do on that platform. Just do it, and, we will love you forever. Make sure you tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and anyone who is proud to have lived through the 90s in Los Angeles, California.
You guys should really email to tell us which is better, West Coast rap or East Coast rap. You guys have to settle the debate for us.
I would love to hear a lot of your guys' opinion on this.
I'm genuinely really, really interested to hear from you guys. So email us your thoughts on that at upcpod@gmail.com. Additionally, in the description of this episode, you can find our link tree, which has our Letterboxd pages and our Rate Your Music pages, where you can see all of our scores. You can also find our TikTok page and YouTube page, where we post additional content for you guys to enjoy. So go check it out.
And if you want to see what album we are covering and what movie we are covering next week. You have to follow that Instagram at Uncultured Pop Culture. And let me tell you, this week we talked about comedy. Next week, we're going to be talking about even more comedy. And we have a very special guest. So I guess on that note, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Shut the fuck up, Brandon. Bye.